there is no disagreement about the need for change and collectively moving forward. So I offer this resolution today, and it is a moderate and it is a measured resolution, although there is no appetite for moderation, measure, or nuance. It places the focus and priority on excellence over competition. It simply asks our superintendent to carefully review, with all gathered information and feedback, in-district plans for new properties first. If there is a plan for our in-district teams that the superintendent believes is outstanding, with clear indicators for operational and instructional excellence, he will recommend this plan to the board. If no in-district plan meets this clear and high bar, then and only then will proposals from external partners be considered. Why would we ever turn outside the district if our superintendent, widely regarded as the leader of quote-unquote school reform nationally, believes an in-district plan is exceptional? Why? Why? There is no reason we would do this if public school choice were about assuring excellence for every child. There is every reason we should adopt this resolution from the perspective of our data, from the perspective of stability, from this perspective of putting kids first. The data around public school choice and our district in general can be read many ways and can be manipulated to support almost every perspective in this debate. But the data, combined with the feeling in our schools, combined with the energy in our schools, speak one undeniable truth. The status quo is dead. Our schools are improving. Failure has become the exception rather than the rule, and the extraordinary is more and more likely. There are those who will say that these changes that make us gratified but not satisfied, in the words of our superintendent, are because of a gun held to our head known as choice. Startlingly willing to employ war imagery, our reform advocates tell us it is only their fingers on the trigger that have made this district change. But the data tells a different story. The biggest gain in our district come at our relieved schools. Schools that are no longer overcrowded, no longer year-round. There are remarkable success stories. Garfield, Hollywood, King Middle School, Plummer Elementary School. But what is far more telling are the overall numbers. Our relieved schools left 27.7 points last year in the data just released today, compared to only 19 points at the district average. It is a pace of improvement that has continued since we started pulling schools off Concept 6 calendars. Why am I mentioning data? Because it proves what we already know. There are many problems in public education, and yes, good teaching is extremely difficult. But the biggest issue leading to 3 decades of public education failure in Los Angeles wasn't that our teachers aren't or weren't good enough. It wasn't that they had a union, and it wasn't that that union had a contract, and it wasn't that they had health care. It wasn't because of our students, and it certainly wasn't because of their families. And although I do believe in choice, a lack of choice was not the primary problem. The problem was that our kids were in criminally overcrowded schools on an illegal year-round calendar that made kids from poor neighborhoods get on buses for hour-long trips that wouldn't have been tolerated. They did this for 30 years, and that would not have been tolerated for 30 seconds in affluent communities. Conditions matter. Conditions matter. And when conditions improve, teaching and learning excels. But if and only if our kids and their teachers and their support staff get to be there. In the negotiations around Public School Choice 1.0, we had to force CSA and others to accept language that new properties would indeed be neighborhood boundary schools run by the same rules as traditional, quote-unquote, traditional public schools, that they would serve all kids, and we won that fight. This resolution seeks to give teachers working in these conditions for all these years a fair and balanced chance to serve kids in the schools they deserve, while giving kids in schools with the most need the attention that they deserve. For the overwhelming part, schools in the new school feeder patterns are not failing. Last year, 68% of the schools in our new school or new property feeder patterns were classified as advancing. 81% improved the numbers of students scoring proficient or advanced on the CSTs. These are not failing programs. These are improving schools that we must invest in. This track record, plus my resolution's absolute requirement for an excellent plan, assure that never again will a failing program be placed in a sparkling new school. In fact, I predict that when improving programs meet new facilities, the marriage will be an excelling school for all students. This doesn't take competition, it takes investment. But there are places where we need help. There are schools that need focus and attention. But the focus and attention needed has been conspicuously absent. I would say criminally truant. In the first 2 years of public school choice, a grand total of 4 applications were submitted by charter schools for our focus schools. And at the same time, they submitted 39 applications for new facilities. And what I can't understand is that if choice is held with this almost religious sanctity at our new facilities, how could it possibly be so unimportant and unattractive at our schools with the highest need? And don't tell me it's about resistance and that it's too difficult. We will start this school year with over 80,000 students in charter schools. That's more students than Cincinnati and Pittsburgh have students combined. And if challenge and difficulty were a problem, we wouldn't be here right now. And the educational landscape of this city would not have changed. And as the initial data shows, it certainly isn't about skill. So it must be about will. And until what's good enough for our new facilities is good enough for our focus schools, I will continue to challenge my friends in the charter community, just as I have challenged the charter community on serving all students, especially those with special needs. Until there is equity and balance in this process, I will not and cannot believe it is about children, because focus schools need all of us. And until we meet those needs, this is not about children. This is about land and power. I want to end by saying that I taught for 17 years in a bungalow. And I know the teachers who taught in those conditions. And I know how much, and the support staff that supported them in those conditions, and the school leaders that led them in those conditions. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. And they deserve to feel that we believe in them.
Thank you.
And if, and only if, and I know that people object to this, but I stand by this, if and only if it is an excellent plan, given all the superintendent's rubrics, feedback, and analysis, then to all of those who labored in those conditions, I, for one, will be honored to welcome them, but most importantly, the students and the families in to our new facilities that I have every confidence will become outstanding, incredible LAUSD schools for the next generation. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer.